All right, so I'm going to go over a little practice round for your upcoming statistics survey project. Basically, we're going to go over calculating the mean, median, mode, range, and IQR, which is interquartile range. Okay, so this is made up data, by the way. Just preface that. Okay, so here's the scenario. 11 students at Ridgemont High School were surveyed about the amount of sleep they got on the average school night. So like Sunday through Thursday, how many hours do you usually sleep a night? Okay. The results are shown below. So here, let me get some. No, let's use blue. Here we have a table of our data. So we have our response number, meaning these are the different students. So this is student number 1, student number 2. We're not using names because we want to keep the data confidential, right? So these are all students. And then their responses are in this row, right? So student number 1 got 4 hours of sleep on average. Student number 2 gets about 8 hours of sleep, lucky one. Student number 3 gets 6, and so on. Okay, so that's kind of what the data is telling us there in the table. Okay, so the first question then is going to be, I wish this actually, like PDFs did GIFs, because this GIF of Boo sleeping is really cute. Anyway, getting distracted. First question. Find the mean number of hours slept by the 11 students. Okay, so key thing we're asked to find there. Let me use red. It's too harsh. Let's use purple. We want to find the mean. Okay, now as a quick review, the mean, another word for it is the average. Okay, essentially what you do to find the mean, I'm gonna write this out, mean equals the sum of all the data. So you're going to add up all of the data, so the hours of sleep, and then you're going to divide it, right? The fraction sign is like a divide sign, by n, which is, I'll write this down too, n is the number of data points you have, or number of responses you got. Okay, so let's do this example together. Okay, mean equals, again, we're going to find the sum. Actually, you know what? As good practice, the first thing we're going to do is order the numbers least to greatest. So we're not dealing with the response number at all. We don't really care about that. That's just telling us that there's 11 people who responded. Okay, we don't know who is which number, so it doesn't really matter to us. So just ignore that for now. So we're going to order these numbers least to greatest. Okay, so we don't have any 1s, we don't have any 2s, we do have 2 3s. Okay, and then we have 2 4s, we have 1 5, 3 6s, so lucky, then 8, so no 7s, and then 2 9s. Okay, so there's our data ordered least to greatest. This will be very helpful for the next couple steps. Next couple questions, sorry. Okay, back to the mean. Let's calculate the mean. The mean of our data with the average number of hours slept by these 11 students. So again, the first thing we want to do is find the sum. The sum just means we add all the numbers together. So 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. I'm writing this all out so you know exactly what I'm doing. Okay. And then we divide by, again, the number of responses, or number of data points, which we know 11 people responded. I'm making a mess out of this slide. 11 people responded, so that's going to be divided by 11. Now, if we add up all the numbers on top, the sum of that would be 63. Again, we're dividing by 11, so I'm going to do the next step. Let's use darker blue. So continuing down here, we have 63 divided by 11. If we do that, we get 5.73 rounded to the nearest hundredth. Okay, really it's 5.72727272, etc. Okay, so our answer then would be in a full sentence, because you know we like writing sentences, right, to explain things. The average hours, let's see, yeah, average hours of sleep on a school night, be detailed. And then I started writing detailed. On a school night from these 11 students is 5.73 hours. Right, so there is our answer. Okay, so again, I made kind of a mess out of this slide, but the key thing to remember, to find the mean, you get the sum of all the data, so add up all those numbers, and then divide by the number of data points you have, or the number of responses you have. Okay, so there's mean. Drum roll. The median. All right. So median, let's use pink, sure. Okay. Remember that the median is essentially the middle data value. Now, the key thing here, middle, right? In order to find the middle data point, you actually have to order the numbers. So the first thing you do is order the numbers, least to greatest. Least to greatest. Okay. And then if you have a small amount of data, you can just basically, like cross numbers off one at a time from both sides to find the middle one. But most of the time you'll have a larger data set and it would take a really long time just to cross numbers off one at a time, right? So if you would prefer to use the formula, which is really helpful, again, with larger data sets, it is n plus 1, n meaning the number of responses that you have. So here we have 11 total. And then you divide it by 2. So this doesn't give you the actual value of the median. So not the median, but it does give you the position of the median in your order of least to greatest. Okay, that might not make sense yet, but don't worry, we will go over it. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is order that data again. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6, 8, 9, 9. Okay. Again, we could, if we have this small of a data set, just, cross numbers off one at a time from each side till we get to the last one, which would be the middle one, right? But again, I want to show you this because most of the time you'll have a larger data set, so this will be really useful. So we're going to use the n plus 1 divided by 2 to find the position of the median in this list, okay? N, again, is the number of data values, so we have 11 total here, so we're going to do 11 plus 1 divided by 2. So 11 plus 1 is 12, divided by 2 equals 6. Now again, 6 isn't necessarily the actual number of the median, so the median data value, okay? This gives us the position. That's really, really important you remember that. gives us the position of the median. So in other words, it's the 6th number in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it happens to be both the position number and the median value number in this case, but it definitely won't usually be. Okay, so median number of hours slept by these 11 students is 6 hours. Pretty good amount. Okay, so again, median is basically just the middle data value, but you have to order your numbers least to greatest. Okay. Next, we have the mode. Oh, I'm having so much fun. Ooh, gold. How did I not see that before? Okay. Mode. This is more of a tan than a gold, but we'll pretend it's gold. Mode is basically the most frequent response. So which response number happens the most? Which happens the most? Okay. Obviously, with this small of a data set, and because we've already listed the numbers in order multiple times, we know that there's 3 6s, and that's the most frequent number, right? But I'm going to show you the best way to go about this, the best practice to find the mode, and that's with a frequency table. Now, frequency, just as a quick review, frequency just means number of times something happened. Okay, so what I'm going to do is draw us a cute little table. We're going to have frequency on one side, and then we're going to have response, so hours, on this side. Okay, and I'm going to list these in order, just 1 through 10, because that's going to be the easiest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now we list the frequency of each response. Now we don't have anyone, thankfully, who said they only got 1 or 2 hours of sleep. Okay, we do, however, have 2 people who got 3 hours of sleep. So we're going to write 2 because 2 people got 3 hours of sleep. Okay, and then we also have 2 people who got 4 hours of sleep. So we're going to write 2 there again. 5, there's only 1 person, so we're going to put 1. 6, we know there was 3 people who wrote 6. 7, nobody had 7 hours of sleep. Apparently it's an unlucky number. 0. Okay, 8. Just kidding. I actually really like the number 7. There's only 1 person who said 8 hours, and then 2 people who said 9. No one said 10. Okay, so that's what a frequency table looks like. Basically, you just have the responses from the survey and the number of times people responded those numbers. Okay, now the mode then is whichever number on this side of the table is the highest. So the highest number over here is going to be the mode, right? Because it occurred or frequented the most. Okay, so in this case, the highest number was 3, and the response there was 6 hours. So the most frequent or common or often hours slept by these 11 students is 6 hours. Okay, so there's the mode. Mode is the most frequent. Mode, most. Momo, okay? I did not plan that. Okay. All right, range. I feel like this video is a lot longer than it needs to be, but that's okay. Let's do silver. I don't know how well this will show up, but we'll see. All right, next we're finding the range. So the range is basically telling us how spread out our data is. Okay, so the last three things that we talked about, mean, median, and mode, those are called, I'll write this down because this is kind of important. Mean, median, and mode, which I have mentioned before. These are called measures of center or measures of central tendency. Okay, basically it's telling us more of what's the most common response. Okay, I'll write that down too. Most common. Okay. However, I'm gonna write this down right under it so it's kind of in the same area. We're going to be talking about range and interquartile range, IQR, right now. These two are actually measures of variability. Now, what I mean by that is it tells us how spread out the data is, or how much do responses vary. Okay, variable, vary, right? All right, okay, back to the range. So how spread out our data is. So if you think about those words there, how spread out our data is, or the range, right? The range of anything really is telling us between how many units are there between the lowest and highest of anything, right? The range of someone's vocal cords, the range of the hours of sleep you get a night, the range of the number of scoops of ice cream you have a night, right? So here, to find the range, we'll go back to silver. The range you're going to find by subtracting the maximum value, so the highest value, I'll write that too, highest value or greatest value. From that, you're going to subtract the minimum value, so the lowest or the least. Okay, so to do that, we need to actually identify the max and the min. Now, I'm just going to write those data values, the responses, again, out for us. And look at that, it's already in order, so we can already tell where the minimum and maximum are, okay? So the range in this case is going to be the maximum, which is 9, max, minus the minimum, which is 3. That was a really long subtraction sign. So 9 minus 3 is 6. So now this doesn't mean everyone got 6 hours of sleep, right? This means that between the lowest and highest number of hours slept is 6 hours. Okay, again, it's telling us how spread out the data is. Okay, so there's range. You subtract the minimum. I'm going to highlight, circle that part because that's the most important part. You subtract the minimum from the maximum. Okay, you're finding the difference there. Last but not least, certainly not least, is the interquartile range. So this is a type of range. Now it's not the range between the minimum and the maximum. It's actually, IQR is actually the range of the middle 50% of data. range. Okay, so that's basically what IQR means, interquartile range. Now, notice the word quartile. We're going to talk about where the quartile or the quarters, right, the fourths of our data comes into play. So, the cool thing is, as I explain IQR, I'm basically telling you how to draw a box plot. Now, we're not going to actually go over how to do a box plot, like it's not on our assignment coming up, but you'll see what I mean. So, for IQR, there's 5 things, the 5 magical numbers that you need. You need the minimum, the minimum data value. You need the maximum, which we've already gone over with the range before. You also need the median, which we've already calculated, so go us. And then you need Q1 and Q3. And you're like, well, what the heck are Q1 and Q3, Ms. Monson? I will explain. Don't worry, but let's fill these other ones out really quick. The minimum we know is 3. Maximum was 9. The median was 6. Okay. Q1. Q1 is essentially the median or the middle value or the median value of the lower half of the data. I'll explain that in just a minute with the example. Q3 then is the median or middle of the upper half of the data. This video is like 40 minutes longer than I was expecting it to be. Anyway, you're having fun. Don't worry. It's all good. We're good here. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Let's first order the numbers. Okay. I'm actually going to scoot this up and you'll see why in just a minute. Okay. Yeah, let's go blue. No, blue. Okay. Order the numbers. 3, 3, 4, 4. So we're just doing least to greatest again. Okay, least to greatest. And now I'm going to basically just identify those magical numbers that we were just talking about. So let's use gold again. Because gold is magical. Okay. The minimum, that's the lowest number, right? So minimum, the maximum is the greatest. So there's our max. We found the median was 6. Now it can't be any of these 6s on here. It was this specific one. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to put a little line there, a little line there, and a little line there. Okay. Now let's talk about Q1. Q1 is the median of the lower half. What I mean by lower half is this section right here, right? From the minimum to the median. That's the lower half. Lower half. Okay. So we want to find the median of the lower half of the data. So we're finding the middle. Now, again, you could go and cross off the numbers. So we'll just do that for this example. 3, 6, 3, 5. Oh boy, there's 2 numbers in the middle. What do we do? When there's 2 numbers in the middle, there's not like an equal middle number. I guess you could say like the number 6 was our equal median. You just take the average or the mean of those numbers. So you do both those numbers. So 4 plus 4. And then you divide that by 2. Okay. So 4 plus 4 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. Now you're like, duh, the mean of 4 plus 4 is 4. I know, I was giving you an example of what to do though, so it's fine. Okay, so Q1 then, Q1 is 4, which we're gonna need in a bit, so I'm just gonna write 4 over here so we don't forget. Okay, and then Q3 is going to be the median of the upper half. By upper half, I mean from the median to the max. So that's the upper half. I know I'm like writing over all my other writing, but it's fine. My dog is saying hi. Okay, so the median of the upper half, we can cross out 6 and 9, 6 and 9. Ooh, but 6 and 8. See, this is why I did the example before. We need to find the median or the mean of 6 and 8. So 6 plus 8 is 14. And then you divide it by 2, because there's two numbers, is 7. So Q3 then equals 7. And you're like, duh, 7 is between 6 and 8. Yes, I know. Okay, so why did I draw these weird dashes? Basically, IQR gives us the magic numbers to make a box plot. Now, you may have gone over box plot last year. Basically, all we have to do from here, since we already did those lovely dashes, is connect Q1 and Q3 with lines, and then draw one line from the minimum through the box to the maximum. And voila! We have a box plot. How cool is that? That made it so easy for us to draw a box plot. Okay. Anyway, again, we're not really going to be doing those in the next couple days, but there's your intro to box plots. But back to IQR, because that's what we're actually trying to find. To find IQR, IQR equals your Q3 data point minus your Q1 data point. Quartile 3, quartile 1. Right? So quarters, right? We're talking about quarters. 1, 2, 3. And the last quickly got weird. Okay. Q1 minus Q3. That's how you find interquartile range. That's the most important part to remember there. Okay, so now let's do it. IQR equals. I forgot to write Q3 up here, but it was 7. So our Q3 was 7. Our Q1 was 4. We subtract those two and we get 3. What does the 3 mean though? Interpretation is always really important, you guys, because then you're not just like throwing numbers out willy-nilly, right? It's important to know what you're actually talking about. So the IQR of 3 here means that the range, or the lowest to the highest, right? Range. The range of the middle 50%, right? That's 50% right there. Middle 50% of the data is 3 hours of sleep. So that means the middle 50% of the people in this survey, so really the most like, oh, we're not going to get into that. I won't get into that. But the difference between the lowest and highest of the middle 50% of our data or of our responses is 3 hours of sleep. So it's just another way of showing us how spread out our data is, right? How variable the data is, how much our answers vary from each other. Okay, so there's those in a nutshell. I'm just going to rewrite the formulas over here separately so you have them all in one place. Okay, so I'm going to write this first actually. Always list data least to greatest first before you do anything else, okay? Okay, now formulas. Formulas. So we'll start with mean. Mean is the average. This is when we're taking the sum of all the responses and dividing it by the number of responses. Promise I can spell. Okay, median. Again, you can just cross numbers off one at a time from each side with small data samples, but it's good to know the formula. N plus 1 divided by 2. Now again, this gives you the median position. That's the key thing to remember. It's not the actual median value, it's the position of the median in your line of least to greatest data. Okay? And again, N, I'll write this down too. N equals number of responses. Okay? Mode. Not really formula for mode. It's just the most frequent. So which one occurs the most? Okay. Let's use orange. Range. Range is your maximum data value minus your minimum. And very much related, the IQR, the interquartile range, the middle 50% of the data, the range of the middle 50%, is your Q3, which is your median of the upper half, minus your Q1, the median of the lower half of your data. Okay, there's all your formulas. I hope that example helped. Let me know if you have any questions, though. Okay, please don't hesitate to ask me for any questions, right?